Yes, you can heal your diabetes using sugar, having lots of sugar in your diet. I'm going to explain how and why this works and why it's a very repeatable process. It's amazing. It's going to blow your mind. My name is Dr. James Nall. I'm a chiropractor. I used to practice functional medicine until I realized it was nothing but an expensive wild goose chase that makes people feel like they're on the right track, only to pull the rug out from under them at the end. And hey, guess what? You're still not healing. So now I do coach people on medical medium protocols because that's what ultimately I use to heal myself. I've been doing those protocols since 2016, and I've worked with clients from all over the world, helped them to heal a variety of health symptoms and conditions. It's amazing. I love doing that. I also realize not everyone is going to be willing or able to do a coaching program. So I do want to provide some free value to those out there who are looking to try to make some headway on their own, because you can do it. The medical medium information is free. There is just a boatload of it, and it's not going to resonate with everyone. So I know that sometimes hearing it from a different perspective can help to let that info sink in. So that's what I'm doing here in these videos. All right, so let's get right to it. So sugar is a big villain. If you look at natural health people, functional medicine people, even traditional medicine people, sugar is the culprit. Everyone's eating too much sugar. It's highly addictive. That's the reason everyone is fat and sick and dying early, right? Okay, we're going to dissect this because that is not the case. That is not true whatsoever. And we're going to relate this back to, things like insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes. This even works for type 1 diabetes, even though that is in a separate category, meaning it has a separate root cause. And in most cases, you're not really going to be trying to reverse that. You're really just going to be trying to improve your blood sugar numbers. And you can absolutely do that even if you have type 1 diabetes. Everything else, you have the chance to reverse insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes happens all the time. So that's what we're going to go over today. But this is a big overarching principle in the medical medium field that hangs up people left and right. I see people get swatted off path all the time because they just can't wrap their head around this idea that a high sugar diet is healthy and good for them. And they might they might dip their toes in the water for a bit, but the first sign of trouble, first sign of like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to feel this way, they run back to the high protein, high fat diet, which is where they were before. That leads nowhere fast. And it's sad to see. I hate to see that because that's not going to heal anything. Protein doesn't heal anything. Fat does not heal anything. I hate to break that to you if you were of that belief, but you need to hear that because ultimately you do want to heal. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. All right. So what causes insulin resistance, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes? What causes that? There are two factors at play here. Number one is a sluggish liver, which gets talked about a whole lot. And there are lots of things that can ultimately lead to a sluggish liver. The most common of which everyone has kind of done their entire life 3 times a day, plus during snacks, is a high fat or high protein diet. It just wears down your liver. You just beat the hell out of your liver doing that year after year, decade after decade, and eventually it catches up to you. But there are also things like toxic heavy metals, chemical exposure, pathogenic waste, stress hormones that all take a toll on your liver and its ability to do its function. And one of its main functions is to store vitamins and nutrients, glucose being a main one. It will store glucose as glycogen. So your body has some fuel to run on in times where you just are not eating a food source that can fuel your brain and your body. But when your liver is sluggish, it loses its capacity to store these things. So its glycogen reserves are lowered. And then when it's called upon, there's just nothing to turn back into glucose. So then you end up running on adrenaline, which is a different story, different set of problems. The other factor is everyone's blood is thick from eating a high fat diet. Even if you're a vegan, even if you're plant based, even if you eat clean, you eat a high fat diet. You eat way more fat than the human body can comfortably process and tolerate. And you might be thinking to yourself, like maybe some other people, but not me. Yeah, you. If you have a chronic health condition, it is almost a guarantee. I honestly, I can't think of a situation where I'd say it's not, but I'm just going to leave myself a little wiggle room there. Almost guaranteed that you are holding yourself back by the amount of fat, even healthy fats, that you're eating on a regular basis. So why is that important here? That's important here because when you eat fat, even healthy fat, even lean animal protein, it thickens your blood. If you can imagine, your blood vessels, and they're carrying your blood, your oxygen, your nutrients to all parts of your body. The ideal consistency of blood is closer to water. It's like a nice, healthy, thin, flowing consistency. When you're eating fat all day, that fat gets into your bloodstream and you lose that nice consistency. And there's also less room for things like oxygen, vitamins, and nutrients. How this comes into play is with the hormone insulin that is released by your pancreas anytime sugar enters the body. Insulin's main job is to go to cells and unlock or open up the cells so they can take in the sugar, right? Now, when the blood is thick, think of like a congested highway, like a traffic jam. That insulin has a really tough time getting to all the places it needs to go. And therefore, the cells are not opening up. They're not taking in the sugar. And that sugar is left in your blood. That is high blood sugar right there. That's it. There's no mystery. That's it. Again, outside of type 1, that is a different story. But most people are dealing with insulin resistance, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes. That is what's happening there. So in order to reverse anything, you really need to understand the concept of what's happening inside the body. So that's it. Thick blood, sluggish liver. So if you can work backwards from those, that's how you're going to heal and have a chance at reversing your blood sugar issues, right? So the main problems that you need to reverse engineer here are going to be your dietary fat. You're eating too much fat all throughout the day. I've made other videos that talk more about kind of strategically when you would want to have fat throughout the day. So that's a big issue. Now, very intelligent people out there are still so locked into like, that's total BS. You're telling me I can eat sugary foods and, that's going to heal my blood sugar? Like, I don't buy that whatsoever. I gotcha. Name a sugary food to yourself right now. Just describe one food that's like a sugar food that's like the enemy of diabetes, right? Most of them are going to be foods that have sugar, yes, but they also have fat. Cakes, donuts, cookies, things like that. You might name like soda. You might say soda's the problem here. Well, that's a whole other issue. I mean, there are chemicals and food chemicals in sodas that stress the liver and create more liver sluggishness. There's that. And I'm not talking about like processed sugar. Nobody is saying processed sugar is good for you. But you have to get away from the idea that like all sugar, even healthy sugar, is going to be problematic. Because I promise you, you are not eating near enough fruit or potatoes to fuel your body to help reverse an issue like this. And you might say, well, I eat some fruit. I have potatoes every now and then. Great. It's nowhere near what your body would like for you to eat. It's not a couple pieces of fruit a day. that's not enough to do it. You have to really tip the scales enough in your favor, and it's going to feel like a crazy amount of healthy sugar. But if you think about this, we all intuitively know that fruit is healthy. Potatoes aren't a problem. Potatoes, when you fry them in oil or you add, butter, bacon, sour cream, cheese to them, that's not great because that's a fat and a sugar combo. So we don't want to do that. But does anyone have blood sugar issues because they just ate way too many steamed potatoes with no fats? Show me that person. Do we have people who have blood sugar issues because they have a diet that's incredibly rich in whole food fruits and vegetables and herbs? You're not going to find those people, right? Now that opens up a whole other can of worms of like, well, he says that, but then where am I going to get my protein in? That's a whole other topic. But you'll also not find people who are eating whole foods who have a protein deficiency. I can promise you that as well. So the main concept here that it applies to any single health condition that you might want to improve upon, even reverse at some point, is this concept of sugar being the enemy. And you have to realize that without sugar, no beneficial nutrient that you put into your body is ever going to do anything. It's never going to make it into a cell. It's never going to do anything beneficial without also having sugar around. So you might be saying, well, fat has antioxidants, all these healthy omegas. Yes, fat does hold nutrients, but fat cannot drive those nutrients into your cells. Now, thankfully, you always have some amount of sugar in your body. If you had no sugar, you would be dead. It's that important. So thankfully, there's always a little bit of sugar. But when you restrict sugar, healthy sugar from fruits, potatoes, things like that, you're just limiting yourself. You're saying to your body, like, I'm just not going to let you actually use any of these beneficial nutrients. And healthy sugar in fruits, potatoes, those are attached. Those come with built-in amazing vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, polyphenols, anthocyanins, everything that helps to heal and reverse diseases come in those fruits. And ultimately, I think that's what we all want to do to some degree. So we need to get on board with this concept of like, yeah, okay, this is a good, healthy food. Let's figure out how I'm going to get as much of this healthy, healing food into my body as possible. That's the formula. It's rather simplistic when you see it from that perspective, right? And it is simplistic. Now, it's not always easy for people to figure out how it's going to look like for them. And it's not always easy to stick with it. That's why I do the coaching. And if you need help with that, reach out to me. I love doing this stuff. But this is the path. And literally anyone who makes up their mind to do it is going to be able to do it. So again, sugar, very vital, very vital. It fuels your brain. It fuels your body. You will die if you don't have enough sugar. So yes, that is actually how you can heal and reverse things like prediabetes, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, is by bringing in copious amounts of healthy sugars and keeping your blood at a nice consistency to where insulin can do its job. And this is a very repeatable process. I've seen it happen over and over and over. I've seen this work with type 1 diabetics to where their insulin requirements drop. Their hemoglobin A1C drops by doing the opposite of what they've been told to do since they've been diagnosed like this. It's crazy. And you also get all these other health benefits as well. Your energy's better, your sleep's better, your mental clarity's better. Go figure, right? When you feed the body what it actually needs, your health is going to improve. So, couple of key concepts here wrapped under the umbrella of blood sugar, but you can use this understanding and apply it to any health condition or symptom. Healing foods heal. Cleansing foods cleanse the body. Fats are not cleansing, they're not healing. Protein is not cleansing, it's not healing. That's the formula. All right, that's it for today.